African storytellers, straddling countries, cultures, and cinema. Llobell is a Zimbabwean Spanish actress now living in London. She can currently be seen in her breakout role as Gel, a mathematical genius from a rural, repressed planet, in Apple TV Plus's original sci-fi series, Foundation.
So, Lou, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to have you. And I mean, firstly, I want to say congratulations. Your career is really an inspiration, and it's just so great to see a young woman born on the continent take global stages, literally. And I mean, you spent some time quite in a few places. You were born in Zim, lived in Spain, lived in South Africa, Pietermaritzburg, if I'm not mistaken. Now you've really exploded and you're taking global stages. But what I want to find out from you is, Lou, as a young girl, did you ever imagine you'd have such a breakout role and, well, live the life that you lead?
I always hoped that I would. I feel very, very lucky and grateful that I had the upbringing that I did, and all the opportunities that I've had that have led me to where I am. Obviously, growing up in Pietermaritzburg, you kind of feel like maybe sometimes you can't, get to do bigger and better things outside of that space, but I'm here, and it's such a great feeling to be able to have come from there and be here where I am now.
Indeed, and I'm sure that many are looking at your journey and are being inspired to be able to take on bigger things in life. But with your upbringing, having lived in multiple countries, amongst different cultures, and also you yourself being of different cultures, with your father being Spanish, your mother being from Zimbabwe, how has all of this influenced your approach to acting and you as a person?
I've been brought up in two completely different cultures. My parents did a very good job of making sure that we, absorbed as much as we could from both and felt as comfortable in both as we are. And I do think that I've learned how to adapt pretty well to different situations, which as an actor is very beneficial. So yeah, it's definitely helped me in that light.
And let's talk about your role within Foundation as Gail. Firstly, I'm a complete nerd. I love mathematics, so seeing your character was pretty nice, actually. But I also understand that the character from the book adaptation was originally male, so they changed the gender. How does it feel, or let's say, knowing that your character's been sort of reimagined? How do you feel about that? Can you talk to us about what it means to you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't think that the character would have changed very much if it was male or female. I don't think that it's so important that he was male in the books. It's certainly incredible to see a young woman of color in this role, and it taking such like a lead in a show like this. She's super smart, she's brave, she goes out and gets what she wants. She kind of gets thrown so much at her, and she manages to get through it and come out on the other side, which I think is a very amazing thing to see on screen. I didn't, when I was growing up, see a lot of that. People like me in roles like this. So I feel very honored to be able to portray someone like Gail on a show of this caliber.
Yeah, indeed. And the same for me, growing up. So I grew up in Europe, and, there was only a few Black characters, let alone African characters, that we could see on screen. And so having someone that looks like you, that is not a typical stereotype of what you'd expect, is something that really is important, I think. And especially when we're talking, I mean, the topic of our discussion is really about African storytelling and representation. How do you feel about that? Where do you see that going, and what's important when it comes to bringing representation of African cultures onto the big screens?
I mean, I honestly believe that it's just the beginning. There's a lot of us African actors and actresses that are kind of taking over a little bit at the moment, which is so refreshing and empowering. And I never saw someone who came from where I came from on screen when I was growing up. And so hopefully it gives people a little bit more hope and belief that, you can reach what you want to reach and get to where you want to get to, for sure.
Indeed. And do you feel there's anything still missing?
In terms of representation from African cultures or people from Africa in the industry? I mean, yeah, I think the perception of people from, these kinds of cultures, I think, it's not been shown as authentically as I think it can be yet. But hopefully more creatives from Africa and all these different countries can infiltrate the industry and could make sure that we are represented in the way that we want to be.
What's your story? What's the story that you're creating for the Lus that are coming, for the young women that are born in Zim, or maybe that are of different cultures, that are, the young Tanias that are born in Europe and that are looking at you? What's the legacy that you're building for the future generations?
Well, I hope that I'm able to create some form of hope, to, have big aspirations and work really hard and know that you can get there if, you have your mindset on it. And of course, I would hope that I am able to use my platform to create opportunities for young women who want to reach the stars, and hopefully I can help them get there.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And I'm sure that this didn't come easy, that this wasn't a smooth sailing journey. What are some of the lessons that you've learned along this journey?
I think the most important one is understanding that rejection isn't necessarily always a bad thing. You can absorb those things and use that kind of rejection to motivate you and propel you forward, and not let it get you down. I mean, I've had some times where I've felt terribly after getting told no for certain roles, but if anything, it's led me to where I am now. And so there's always something better, and there's always a reason to keep moving forward.
And in times when struggle comes and you've got challenges, what we often hear is a lot of people kind of have a support structure, a circle that helps them get through these. Who's in your circle?
My family, for sure. They have always been so supportive. They've always made sure that I'm able to do all the things that I want to and all the things that I'm passionate about, and made me believe that I can have a career in something that I love. And so, yeah, my parents and my siblings and all my family are definitely the backbone of my career, for sure.
And with your career moving forward, what's next for you?
Hopefully everything. I'm ready to try a little bit of everything, and dip my toe in every pond and give everything a go, for sure.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing where you're headed. But there's actually something I want to know before we move along with the conversation. You mentioned earlier growing up and not necessarily having or seeing people that look like you or come from where you come from. So then who did inspire you to pursue this career and to build the life that you have?
Yeah, I mean, it was always something inherent in who I was growing up. I mean, I obviously had, grew up seeing people that kind of looked like me, but it was like Halle Berry, who was obviously such an inspiration and still is, or people like Tania Newton, who you see in these spaces that you can kind of relate yourself to. But hopefully there's going to be more and more people who are in that position, and we can inspire the future generation.
And for young creators out there that are in the industry, I'm talking producers, filmmakers, script writers, how do you think that as an industry, as an African industry, we can continue to build and to grow and to make sure that it's not just representation, but that we also, I want to use the term, get a portion, get a piece of the pie?
Yeah. I think understanding that we need to support each other and making sure that we fight for the small things that we need in order to show ourselves in these spaces, and make sure that we fight for what we want, for sure, and have a voice and speak up.
Definitely. And in closing, what would be the message that you would give to the other women that are going to be part of this celebration we've got literally businesswomen, scientists, people in academia. What would be your message to women across the board?
I believe that we are incredibly powerful and that we have a lot more power than we sometimes believe we do. And how amazing is it that we get to come together on a platform like this and, join forces to inspire the young women who are hopefully going to watch this and use it to, build their lives and their futures.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so grateful and honored that you could join us. It's been a pleasure talking to you. We look forward to seeing how your career evolves. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tania.